Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn the next poem, A Legend of Northland, of our English literature text, Beehive, A Legend of Northland, written by Pope Carey. Children, in my previous video, you have learned introduction of this chapter as well as the detailed explanation of 8 stanzas. Now, in this video, we will learn the remaining 8 stanzas, the explanation. Before I explain the 8 stanzas, now let me again explain you the introduction of the poem. In short, A Legend of Northland is a ballad. A ballad is a poem narrating a story in short stanzas. Ballad is such kind of poem which tells a story in short stanzas, and in poem all the stanzas comprises 4 lines. In total there are 16 stanzas in this poem, and these stanzas will tell us a story. A ballad are a part of folk culture or popular cultures and are passed on orally from one generation to the next generation. So, the poem, the first and the foremost poetic device of this poem is a ballad. Now, let us start with the 9th stanza. Then she took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it flat and baked it thin as a wafer, but she couldn't part with that. Now let's see the meaning of scrap. A small amount. Now the meaning here, paraphrasing, the third time she took a small amount of dough and rolled it. The poetess says that she rolled to lay emphasis on the fact that she rolled the dough and made it very thin like a wafer and baked it. But she was so greedy that she couldn't give that thin piece of bread to Saint. Now in 10th stanza, for she said, "My cakes that seem too small, when I eat to them myself, are yet too large to give away." So she put them on the shelf. Now let's see the meaning. The woman reasoned that when she ate the cakes, she felt that they were very small, but if she had to give them to someone, she felt that they were too big to be given away. She put all the cakes on the shelf of her kitchen, and she did not give any cake to Saint Peter. Now, in 11th stanza, then good Saint Peter grew angry, for he was hungry and faint, and surely such a woman was enough to provoke a saint. So let us see the meaning of the word provoke. Provoke means cause to get angry. Now here the poetess says that Saint Peter became angry. He was very hungry. He was feeling very weak and selfish, and the selfish woman was not ready to give him even a small cake. This behavior of the greedy woman angered the saint. Now let's see the 12th stanza. In 12th stanza, and he said, "You are far too selfish to dwell in a human form, to have both food and shelter and fire to keep you warm." Here, children, you see the word meaning dwell. Dwell means to live. Fine. Now here, the Saint Peter cursed the woman and said that she was very selfish. She did not deserve to live like a human being. He added that God had given her food, shelter, fire to keep warm, but she had become selfish for all the resources she had. She did not want to share them with anybody. Now in stanza 13, Now you shall build as the birds do, and shall give your scanty food by boring and boring and boring all the day in the hard dry wood. See here, children, scanty. Scanty food. Scanty means very little. And what do we mean by boring? Boring means making a hole in something with a tool or by digging. Now here Saint Peter cursed the woman that she would become a bird because she did not deserve the human form. She shall become a bird and just like birds build their houses by boring into the wood and collect very little food by working hard the entire day. Similarly, she would also work hard in the dry woods all day and get little food and make a small place for herself to live. So, in the next stanza, that is the 14th stanza, then up she went through the chimney, never speaking a word, and out of the top flew a woodpecker, for she was changed to a bird. Here, as soon as the Saint Peter cursed the woman, she did not get a chance to speak for herself because that very moment she flew up to the roof through the chimney and flew out in the form of a bird. Saint Peter's curse had converted the woman into a bird. So, in the stanza 15, she had a scarlet cap on her head and that was left the same, but all the rest of her clothes were burned, black as coal in the flame. Now, here you see scarlet. It is what is a brilliant red color. Now, by the image you can understand here, when the woman turned into a bird, at the time she was wearing a red colored cap on her head. This cap was there on the bird's head also. But the woman's remaining clothes had burnt and turned black in color, just like coal. Now in the stanza 16, and every country schoolboy has seen her in the wood, where she lives in the trees till this very day, boring and boring for food. Children, here country. Country means the rural areas or belonging to the countryside. Now in the last stanza here, people who live in the countryside, even the small children who go to school, seen this kind of bird in the woods. They see that she stays there all day and keeps on digging the wood with her beak to collect her food. Whenever any child sees this kind of bird, then his elders tell him this story. They say that the bird used to be a woman earlier. She was very greedy and so she was cursed by Saint Peter and turned into a bird. They get a teaching that they should not be greedy. Thank you for watching my video. Stay home, be safe. This A Legend of Northland, the literary devices of this poem is being shared with this video, along with this video. Children, go through it. You can pause the video and understand the literary devices used in the poem. Alliterations, repetitions, enjambment, simile, as well as the rhyming scheme and the personifications that are the devices that are being used in the poem. Thank you.